Welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast, a collection of inspiring conversations with the most interesting female entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and together with my incredible guests, we'll explore the struggles of being a female entrepreneur, the most important lessons, and the future of women leaders in business. Speaking of struggles, one of the biggest challenges that so many of my clients are experiencing right now is this feeling of isolation. Let's be honest, it's lonely being an entrepreneur. And even if you have a team, you may not have a community around you that truly understands what it's like to be a business owner. That's why I've created the Inner Circle Group program. It's a specially curated group experience that's designed specifically for female entrepreneurs as a space to create connection, build confidence, share our collective wisdom, build our leadership and our businesses. It's a safe space to talk about the hard stuff. And if this sounds like the right place for you, I'd invite you to check it out right away at highvoltageleadership.ca as we get started here at the end of October. My guest on this week's episode is Danielle Cobo. Danielle's got an incredible story of how she built a super successful career at a Fortune 500 company. And then when COVID hit, she really changed directions and decided that she wanted something different, transitioning all her passion and all her skill into becoming an incredible career coach. As a busy mother of 4-year-old twin boys and a military spouse, Danielle knows what it takes to blend work and life, all while creating an amazing and impactful business. I know you're going to love our chat today. Danielle, thank you so much for being here today with me on the Female Founder Friday podcast. I'm really excited to have a chat with you today.
Well, I'm honored to be on your podcast. So thank you, Lindsay, for reaching out and thinking of me for this.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. And we made one of those beautiful online COVID connections, you and I, which I think is probably the best thing to come out of COVID for me, is the new people that I have met that I don't know if I would have if we weren't sort of living our lives online the last 17 months or so.
I agree 100% because during COVID, I've had the opportunity to connect with people all over the world through LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I've been able to create these incredible relationships I'm so grateful for. So I agree. It's, a blessing to come out of COVID, if anything, is to be able to have this opportunity to meet different people.
Yeah, totally. I think we were more open to it. We were craving new connections, locked up with our families as much as we love them. And so it's been super cool. So yeah, so I'm really glad that we could have you on the podcast. And I guess I just want to know a little bit more. You've told me some of the story already about your journey to being a female founder and a small business owner.
Well, I would say that my career started in corporate America. So I had been in corporate America for 14 years. I was very blessed to have a successful career where I had achieved a lot of the goals that I wanted to succeed in, earning president's trips back to back. I stepped into a senior management role at 30 years old. And I didn't have any direct management experience, but I got hired into that position for a Fortune 500 company and then got to lead a team to number 1 in the nation. So I had this incredible experience in corporate America. And then COVID hit, the pandemic, and it really opened my eyes to a lot. My husband had just returned home from a year deployment. I was traveling all the time when he was deployed, plus our twins were a year and a half. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, what do I love doing? Like, what is it exactly that I love about my job? And how can I continue to do that every single day? So I said, well, what I love doing is supporting people in creating their career plan, supporting them in achieving and getting promoted and really creating something that they wanted to excel and succeed in life. Also creating balance in life because, with a husband deployed, young twins, and traveling 60% of the year, I really had to master balance. Yeah. And so that's what I love doing. And I was like, well, how do I do this every single day? And so I said, well, I guess I'll be a career coach. And I love what I do. I wake up every single morning going, I get to make a difference. I get to make an impact. And it's such a rewarding experience when you get that call going, I got the job, Danielle, or, oh my gosh, Danielle, like I exceeded my quota and, we've built out this plan, or I have another client who is starting a business right now. And it's such a rewarding experience. And I truly love what I get to do.
That is so cool. I love it. Really is. You use the word impact. It really is the impact that you can have on other people, on their lives, on their sense of joy and fulfillment. And also then the ripple effect that you can make with their family, their friends, like everything shifts when they get that perfect job, or they achieve that particular, level, or, starting the business they've always dreamed of. Danielle, that's so cool. I can imagine you get up in the morning just ready to rock.
Yeah, we spend more time at work than we do at home. And I know that's really hard to say and hard to hear.
Yeah.
So if you don't love what you do, then that's going to affect every aspect of your life. You're going to dread going to work. You're going to be miserable when you walk home. You're going to be carrying that baggage when you walk home. And so it's important that you love what you do. It's important that you enjoy the people that you work with. And if you get to that point where you don't, then really take a step back and go, what do I love to do? What do I don't love to do? And how can I create either that position or just find it at another company?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, sometimes you can find the new role. I mean, if you work in a large enough organization, perhaps there's another group or department. But if not, where else does it exist? Or do you need to make it for yourself?
Yep.
Right?
Or create your own business.
I think that's absolutely, well, I mean, and that's what you and I have done. So that's brilliant, right?
Yes.
But I think that, I think if nothing else, if you find something that you really love to do, you can make it happen, right? Whether that's working as an employee or working in self-employment, it's true. And it shifts everything when you live every day doing what you really enjoy. Yeah, that's so awesome, Danielle. I love that. So your experiment with this has only been sort of a big year or so then in your own business.
Yeah, it really has. So when I left corporate America, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know exactly what it was. So I started posting on LinkedIn, and I got a lot of fulfillment out of inspiring and empowering others.
Yeah.
And people started to reach out to me and they say, oh, you've been in sales. Do you have any advice? And I said, sure. Somebody helped me and supported me into getting into my career. I want to do the same for others. I have the time. And I started supporting people, and they were getting jobs. They're getting job after job after job. And getting offers. And every time people kept saying, you need to be a career coach. You need to be a career coach. And I was like, no, I don't know if I want to start my own business.
Right.
And that moment where a recruiter said, Danielle, stop looking for jobs, start your own business. This is your calling. This is your purpose. And this is where you get to make impact. So instead of leading a team of 9, I get to expand that, and I get to work with several people every single day, different people every single day. And so that's how my journey kind of evolved, and it's continuing to evolve. I'm working on a TED Talk. I'm working on public speaking engagements as a keynote speaker. I'm creating workshops for organizations. My visions are big. My goals are high, and I chase after them every single day.
I love that. On top of being a military wife with a husband that's gone a lot on deployment and twin boys, you're like a powerhouse, Danielle. That's amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot. I love that. Okay. So I want to ask you, where have you, sort of what's gone well, but also where have you made some mistakes? Where have you messed it up?
That's a great question, because there's been a lot of learning lessons through this process. And what I found was everybody saw my power. I didn't necessarily see it in myself. So
Totally.
when people were saying, be a career coach, be a career coach, and I was going, no, no, no. And it's because other people saw something in me that I was just not seeing in myself. Here I'm going, well, how am I going to be a career coach? And then I was like, wait a minute. I have 14 years of experience. I've worked for a Fortune 500 company. I've had several people on my team get promoted. I've led a team to number one. I have tons of experience. I've had exposure to the most incredible top-notch trainings in the world.
Yeah.
And so I would say that really believing in myself, I think, was a challenge in the beginning. And it's something that I continue to push through. I
Yeah.
didn't realize through the years that I really put a guard up. And my guard was I use success in my attainment of quotas and my income as a guard when it came to validating who I was, instead of really getting to know who I am, what my power is, and being really vulnerable to open my heart to that. And so that would be one thing that I really learned in starting this process. And there's some days I wake up and I'm like, yes, I'm a powerhouse. I can do this. Like, I'm going to make an impact. I'm going to be a public speaker. And then there's other days going, oh my God, was it the right decision to make leaving corporate America? So I push through it every day, and I have people that I get to lean on, that get to support me through that process. I would also say the other learning lesson was really knowing your time and how valuable your time is, and when it's time to bring on support.
Yeah.
So there was a time where I was supporting my clients. I was creating workshops. I post every single day on across all social media sites. And I found myself taking time to edit my podcast, do my show notes, and do all of that. And I'm like, okay, does this make sense for me to do? And so it's identifying when it makes sense to outsource tasks so that you can then spend that time, supporting more of your clients. That's when you get to spend your time. And so that was another learning lesson that I really took away through this experience.
Those are really beautiful, Danielle. I want to go back to sort of your first point, which is you really do have to uncover and peel back a few of those layers about who am I and what do I really value? What is my purpose? Like, not just in business, but what is my purpose here? Like, what am I on this planet to accomplish? I actually think that is key. And I had that same shared experience where I had to really take a couple steps back. And because that, I think, really informs then not only what you do in your business, but who you are, right? It also, I think, resonates with the clients that you're going to attract. So I think that is super valuable work. It's something I encourage my clients to do, or when I'm talking with people like like you said, people reach out and what do you think about this? And, will you help me with that? And that's always one of the things I say is spend some time on that, because I think it was really valuable for me. And it's been a wonderful yardstick along the way too, right? I think that's I think that's brilliant. And COVID was a great time to do some of that reflection, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. And, you talk about purpose and impact and really understanding who you are and what you want to do. And so while one of my visions is to present a TED Talk, my TED Talk is completely different than what I do day to day. It's applicable to where we are in life.
Yeah.
But it's who you are and what inspires you and the impact we want to make in that TED Talk is different than what I do every day in my business. Yeah. And so really understanding what your purpose is, there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that it's just the purpose for your business. Like, to me, I have a life purpose statement, and it reflects in how I show up as a coach and a consultant. But you're right. That's not all of me. Right. So Danielle, I really love that. You're totally, like, I'm getting goosebumps. You're speaking my language here. I think that is super, super cool that you did that work up front and spent that time. And clearly it shows through now with where you're headed, and who you're working with and how fulfilled you are. I think that is so awesome. And I love how that also informs sort of how you define success for yourself now, as opposed to in your corporate job. right?
Mhm.
Success isn't
Yeah.
just about money or metrics, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, the money and metrics is nice because obviously you get
Yeah.
to afford different things and that's beneficial, but I wouldn't trade my happiness for that. And, I will get to that point where, I envision my vision's very clear on where I'm going to be, and it's going to take time to get there,
Oh,
but I
sure.
wouldn't trade my happiness for that, for anything out there. Um, and knowing your purpose and following your purpose and following your vision.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I say all the time, money's just a metric. Like when you are, you are equating success to how much money you make, you're missing out on all sorts of other metrics of success: happiness, joy, fulfillment, honoring some of your values like family, right? Like those are the pieces that fall off when money is the only way you're measuring your success. Or popularity. I mean, that's another big one right now, right? With our Instagram influencers and our TikTokers and all this stuff. And you see, they've got all the money and fame in the world, and they're still miserable. You can tell, right? Because they're
Yeah.
missing out on some of the important ways to measure success. So I like, Danielle, you just have such a wonderful, balanced approach to the way you're tackling this, but with such a firm focus on your goals. There's just a beautiful synergy in that.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I set goals every year. So my husband and I sit down and we do family goals, and there's, a health aspect, a financial aspect, and who we show up as parents.
Yeah.
These are our goals. And then I create a vision board every year. And so every year I create a very clear vision board. It sits above my desk. I look at it every day. And it's the same thing, it's health and fitness and financial and trips. That's one thing that I really is important to me is planning family vacations, because when I was in corporate America, I I had this sense of if I wasn't present all the time, I would be letting my team down. And I
Mm,
wasn't refueling what my body needed in order to show up as the best version of myself. And so now that I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a business owner, I really carve out time for family vacations. And there's a lot of benefit in that. If my cup is filled, I get to then support and pour into other people.
you bet.
And so there's a power in creating goals every year, creating SMART goals, having a vision board, and sharing it with the world. I've been very vulnerable in sharing my vision on social media. And, I don't have my TED Talk yet. I'm working on it. But because I share that with people, I've had coaches reach out to me and saying, how can I support you? Do you need coaching on speaking? Do you need an introduction on getting in contact with like the local events? When you put your vision out there and you put your goals out there, people want to support you through that process.
I love that. You're right. I mean, that's a little scary, as you said. That's like a downright terrifying, depending on the goal, right? But
Yeah.
there is something really powerful in like leaning in, sort of to the scary space and saying, no, I'm going to make this real.
Yeah, I'm going to make it real. And I have my SMART goals. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, realistic, and time bound.
I love
So,
it.
and when you share that with the world too, it also holds you accountable, because once you share that with others, you're like, oh, wow, I really have to hold myself
Yeah,
accountable because I need to upstand to my word.
right? Because then your integrity is on the line.
Yeah, my integrity, my character is on the line. If my integrity is I always want to hold true to my word and be accountable, then I need to be accountable for my goals. So it's just that taking those goals and that vision and taking it to that next step and next step beyond that.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I love how bravely you sort of put it out there. And yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow.
So
Sometimes it takes way longer than we'd hoped, right? But just the power that's in making that intention something that's tangible, I think is really awesome. So I want to ask you, what's the one lesson that you would pass on to someone who's today says, I want to leave my corporate job, or I want to make my side hustle like my full-time business? What advice would you give them, Danielle?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, write down what you love to do. Like, what are you truly passionate about? And create that business that you're passionate about. And really believe in yourself and the power. Because I would say that, I had a lot of insecurities that surfaced when I left corporate America. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going out on my own. I had a lot of insecurities as to, can I do this?
Yeah.
And I really had to push through those. And so it takes 30 to 45 days to create a habit. So starting your morning with, 5 things that you do that you believe truly in yourself and shifting that mind.
Yeah.
Also, I have a daily devotional that I read, and it's about believing bigger, and it talks about your purpose and your vision and the impact. So that would really be the advice that I would give, is really believe in yourself, believe in your power, and take a risk, because if you don't, you're always going to look back and go, I wonder if I would have done this.
Totally.
And give yourself a chance. I can do this and give myself a time bound goal if I'm going to accomplish this by then. And I can either reevaluate it or go, hey, I tried. And maybe I'm going to go back. I have no intention of going back, but
Yeah.
at least give yourself the opportunity
Yeah.
to just stretch yourself and start your business. And if for any reason it doesn't work out, then you tried and you learned, and
Yeah.
you'll never regret it.
You know what? I think that is such great advice. Even if you try something and it doesn't work out exactly the way you hoped, first of all, I believe there's always something to learn. Learn about yourself, learn about business, learn about your values or your purpose. Like, there's always something you can take away. And if you're going to bet on anybody, bet on yourself. Bet on yourself, right? It doesn't. I was just watching a masterclass with Sarah Blakely last week. She's the creator of Spanx. So this woman is totally the epitome of that. Totally bet on herself. $5,000. She said, what is the one thing that I'm really good at? And that's sales. So I just got to figure out what it is that is a problem, and I'm going to sell it. $5,000. And she hustled. Girlfriend hustled. She hustled, and she has built something that's absolutely remarkable. She is a mentor and to millions of us as women. And she really believed in the power of, sort of what she could create. And it was risky. It was risky. But so anyways, that just reminded me of this masterclass. So if you guys, anyone has access to masterclass, you got to watch it, because she's really incredible. And she's so down to earth. I really love that. But that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, bet on yourself. Bet on yourself and what you really love to do. And that'll give you the energy and the passion. So absolutely genius. One sort of last question for you, because this season of Female Founder Podcast, I really want to focus on leadership. So how do you lead in your business and your life, Danielle?
So I believe that leadership is something of who you are, what you do, and it carries out in all aspects of your life. And I think that is really shown through my experience as well over this past year, where leadership it's in the conversations you have with your friends and supporting your friends. It's the conversations that you have with your significant others, and even with my kids. And so they just turned 4. The language that I choose to use with them when it comes to, I ask them, how can I support you versus how can I help you? Because if I say help, it means that it applies that they may not be able to do it. But if I support them, I'm working alongside of them. I'm linking arms with them. And even the languages of get to versus have to. So in the morning, I say, I get to wake up with you in the morning. I get to have breakfast with you in the morning. I get to go to work, in the morning. So you're teaching leadership, and you're showing up as a leader right from the beginning when it comes to making impact with your kids, to your friends, to your peers. And even to really stretch it beyond that, I thoroughly enjoy creating content and posting a lot on LinkedIn and inspiring others. There's nothing more rewarding than somebody reaches out to me and goes, I love that post.
Yeah.
You really, motivated me to do this or inspired me to do this, or, felt like I wasn't alone in feeling this way. And so you get to show up as a leader in every aspect of your life. It's not just leading a team.
Yeah. You're totally speaking to my heart. Because I believe that leadership starts on the inside. How do you lead yourself? Right? How are you showing up for yourself every day? And then, yeah, like how do you just lead in general? Right? With all those, I mean, you mentioned just an incredible variety of great relationships, and in particular with your little 4-year-old guys. 4-year-olds aren't exactly known for their, sort of rational behavior. They're like little tiny monsters, right?
Yes.
But just the subtle shift in the language that you use with them so that they can start to almost embrace the idea that they lead themselves, right? I really love that, because I do think we sometimes forget that, we got to lead in our family and with our friend groups and in our community organizations, or, if we're part of a church or religious like we get to lead in such an incredible variety of ways, but we got to lead ourselves first. Yeah.
Yeah. And you really, and you had said something about, leading in organizations, and it's about taking initiative. So the other day, I reached out to the CEO of Dress for Success, which is a nonprofit
Yeah.
organization for women that are coming back from being incarcerated, or they've come from a violent relationship. And I just said, how can I support the organization?
Yeah.
And that's another way that you get to be in leadership. It's not only, obviously I get to support my clients, and there's a paid aspect, there's an income to
Yeah.
that aspect. But I also, because of doing that, I also get to support those that maybe don't have those resources. And
Yeah.
that's an aspect of being a leader. And it's taking the initiative to reach out and say, how can I support?
Yeah. Yeah. And just bringing your impact as a leader to a variety of people and spaces, not just to the business that you run or the team that you lead every day, but really bringing that leadership. And there's intrinsic, again, there's rewards beyond the monetary, right? There's so much incredible rewarding stuff that can come from just leading in your community and knowing that you're contributing to the success of someone else. And there's no money exchange. They don't even know, I mean, they may not even know who you are, right? And Dress for Success, a great charity, but I mean, there's a ton of them, and it doesn't, you don't even have to be recognized for it to just feel incredible on the inside, right?
Yeah. I mean, women coming back from human trafficking is another
Oh,
one. These
yeah.
women have been abused, they've been violated, and they're they're healing from that, and that's going to be a really long journey. But how are they reintegrating into the
Yeah.
workforce? And especially because they've been branded a lot of times, how they have tattoos and they're branded by their um owners. And so, you know yeah, it's leading in all aspects of your life. It's contributing to the community. It's a learning experience. As much as I get to support them and coach them on how to get back into the workforce, I learned so much from them as well.
Yeah.
And that in itself, it's a mutual beneficial relationship where we get to learn and support and create relationships among each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that connection, you can't put a price on that kind of connection. That's the truth, right? Like that is invaluable. And I do believe that, when you put great energy and love out into your community, into the universe, you get that back, right? Like that comes back to you. So I think that that's just beautiful. I love that that's the way you choose to lead in all the aspects of your world, Danielle. That's absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you so much. You've shared some incredible things today. It's been such a pleasure to dig into some of this with you. And I feel like we have so We have so much in common. We really have the same philosophy, the same brain waves about so much of this stuff. And so it's no wonder that we came to be, connected, even, in this sort of remote environment that we're in. I just really love you coming and sharing all of that today. And your really interesting, really cool journey to starting what is a really impactful business.
Well, thank you. It's an absolute honor to be a guest, and we were meant to cross paths for a reason. We were, and so there's no, everything is intentional in the world, and so yeah, it's an absolute honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, totally my pleasure. And I know we'll get to talk again soon.
Yes.
To everyone tuning in today, thank you so much for listening to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I was really inspired by Danielle's commitment to supporting leaders and also to being a great leader herself in every aspect of her life and in her community. I'd love to hear what you thought about today's episode, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. You can find out more about Danielle and all the great work she does at daniellecobo.com. And of course, you can find me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. The Female Founder Friday podcast has a goal to impact 1,000 listeners. And it would really mean the world to me if you left this episode a 5-star review and shared it with all your friends. Let's build up to 1,000 female entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. And don't forget to connect with me at highvoltageleadership.ca.